The Subaru WRX forever changed the way we look at the Japanese brand. The hot hatch helped transform Subaru from a cars for farmers to a popular mainstream choice.
And Kia is hoping this car can do the same for it. It's called the Stinger, and it's a rear-wheel drive, turbocharged sports sedan. It's attracted a lot of hype since its unveiling at the Detroit Motor Show back in January. But now the time for talk is over because the Stinger has landed on Australian tarmac. Time to see if it can live up to all of its potential.
Kia, along with parent company Hyundai, has developed an all-new platform for the Stinger, as well as a 3.3-litre twin-turbocharged V6 engine to try and create a proper, affordable performance hero. Kia's growth in recent years is in large part down to its improvement in styling, and the Stinger certainly has some serious curb appeal. It looks sporty and dynamic, thanks to its bold front end, these aggressive but cosmetic bonnet vents, and nice 19-inch alloy wheels. And then you move inside. The dynamic character of the exterior carries over to the cabin. The cabin is really well presented with nice materials and switchgear that speaks to Kia's continued styling evolution. Space is pretty good too inside, and the liftback boot not only gives it the silhouette of an Audi A5 Sportback, but also makes it a practical family car. But it's not its family car credentials that have people interested. It's the performance. The 3.3-litre twin-turbo V6 produces a healthy 272 kilowatts of power and 510 newton-meters of torque, and it's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission to give it some impressive numbers on paper.
But how does it stack up when the rubber meets the road? Well, it's actually pretty impressive. The V6 has got plenty of punch. It pulls hard out of the bends, and even the mid-range acceleration is really impressive. Just stand on it, and it builds speed really easily. The 2-litre, well, it does lack that kick in the back, obviously, that its bigger brother has, but it's an alright engine. It does a pretty good job. However, there's only $3,000 price difference between the two in terms of the various spec, but unless you've got a real aversion to 6 cylinders, well, it's worth spending the extra money because it is the pick of the two. What both engines lack, though, is a soundtrack that really matches the character of the car. Even though the top spec cars get an artificial sound pumped through the cabin, which adds a little bit more character to it, but overall it just feels a little muted. However, Kia Australia is working on its own exhaust system that will be an optional accessory later down the track that should give it a bit more bark to match the bite. Like all Kia, the Stinger has undergone a local ride and handling program to tune its suspension and steering to Aussie conditions. And yet again, it has paid off. It's a valuable decision from Kia because it's given the Stinger a much better ride on Australia's roads. We've been on some pretty average, bumpy, potholed roads around Canberra and Yass over the last 2 days, and it's been, impressive how well it stood up. This GT line model that I'm driving right now, it's got an adaptive suspension system that you can adjust through the drive mode select here between sport, comfort, customize the drivetrain, the engine, the transmission and the sound, but also the dampers. And there's also a smart mode which basically gives you the best of both worlds. It gives you the control that sport offers, but also a bit more of the compliance that comfort has. So this is the first attempt by Kia, and it's actually impressively close to what we have as Australians been blessed with for so many years.
Kia also gave us a chance to sample the Stinger on track.
The Stinger really does have an eagerness to have a bit of a slide around on the track. The back end doesn't take much convincing to break loose, to let you have a bit of fun, which will really endear itself to rear-wheel drive car fans. But it's really quite progressive in the way it handles, so as long as you're confident, it shouldn't bite you. Ultimately, however, our laps on the track have demonstrated that the Stinger is not really a track car. For starters, the cars we're driving have a special tyre, a Michelin tyre, as opposed to the standard Continental you'll get fitted at your local Kia dealership. So how much grip that actually offers in the real world, well, that's hard to tell. But of more concern is probably the brakes. Even the big Brembos on the V6 started to show us some signs of fade after only a few laps on the track. So, if the Stinger is the kind of car you're thinking you can buy for the weekend and do some regular track days, you'll probably want to think about some upgrades. But as a road-going performance sedan, it certainly ticks a lot of boxes.
Pricing for the Stinger range will start at $45,990 for the base 2-litre 4-cylinder S model and tops out at $59,990 for the loaded V6 GT. So is the Stinger Kia's WRX moment? Well, the Stinger is a good sports sedan and it has a strong engine, balanced handling and stylish presentation. The large car market is in decline, so it's hard to see it being a big seller. That doesn't matter, however, to Kia, as long as it changes the way people think about the brand from now on.